Before I start the video, I just really quickly want to thank you all so much for subscribing. I can't believe I made it to 1,000 subscribers. It happened so much faster than I was expecting, and I'm completely unprepared, but I just thought I'd put a little add-on at the start of this video to say thank you all so much. Hello! Today I'm going to be looking at these three amazing looking sets of paints by Schmincke Horadam. They are watercolours and they are in the sets Galaxy, Glacier and Deep Sea. They are supergranulation colours. They call them supergranulation sets here. So basically all of the pigments used in these are very granulating, and I am so curious to see how they're going to work. So let's get into it. I think I'm just going to put these to one side, but here's just a quick little look at the outer cover. In this one we've got pink, violet, blue, brown and black. But what I've actually done is I've swapped them around just a little bit because I wanted to swatch them in a slightly different order. So I've just moved them about and I've got the pink and the brown together. But they are 15 milliliter tubes. They are packed completely. I'm not too sure what's going to happen when I open them, and I'm going to put them all out into a palette and then I'm going to swatch them. So let's just open all the boxes and see them together, and I'll pop those over here. In the Glacier set we've got a Glacier blue, turquoise green, brown and black. And in this last one, which is the Deep Sea violet, indigo blue, Deep Sea green and black. So some interesting colours there. All three sets have a black, which is kind of interesting, and they all have a blue as well. And this is the only one that's got pinks and browns. Oh no, there is a brown in this one too, but let me just put them in a line and we can look at them all together. There we go. Isn't that a pretty thumbnail? So I think I'll just move out these cardboard pieces because they're going to annoy me this whole time. Now, I am eventually going to put some of these into half pans, but I just really can't be bothered today because it does take quite a lot of time. I was then going to put them in here, but this has only got 12 wells and there are 15 tubes, so here's another one I prepared earlier. Here we go. I also have this one in my collection. This one holds 28, so plenty of room to put all of these tubes. I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit. I'm really hoping they're not all going to explode out everywhere, so I might grab some half pans just in case, but I'm just going to squeeze out some in here today and use it from this palette rather than putting them into half pans and waiting for them to dry. I'll do that at a later time. Alright, here's some half pans just in case they go everywhere. I'll put those to one side and I'll see what happens. So I will put them in the order that I put them into the book, which I will show you in a moment, but I'm just going to squeeze these out quickly and then I will swatch them into my sketchbook. Alright, let's open pink first, and I hope that it's not going to go everywhere. Sometimes they do, and yeah, it's come out a little bit. It's not too bad, but there is quite a lot of pressure on those tubes because they pack them totally full, and yes, I need to move that in there before it all comes out. So I'm just going to blob some in. This stuff is not cheap, and so I really don't want to waste any of it. So quickly in there, and it's okay if it dries in here. I can use it in this palette. The paint will re-wet because it is watercolour paint, so the good thing is that you never have to waste watercolour paint. See, I like it when they're like that and they don't go anywhere. Those are my favourite types of paints. I have absolutely no idea what these paints are like. I've never used them before, and that's a satisfying one. How pretty is that blue? Oh my goodness, I can't wait to swatch that one. Oh, that's beautiful. I also have written down the pigment numbers because they're all on the tube, so we'll take a look at those in a while as well. See, look, I pushed too hard and now that's coming out in a big blob. That one could do with a half pan. I might just grab a half pan. I'll just put some in here too. It's always good to have extra half pans around so that you can put them in. That lid was perfect. I'm going to get paint all over it in a moment. So messy. Alright. Only pristine once, and then as soon as you start squeezing them out, that's the end of them. And get that lid on before it comes out more. I'll just write Galaxy Violet on there so I can use it later. Okay, here's my A4 Etcher sketchbook with 100% cold press cotton watercolour paper. I picked this one because it has got quite a decent bit of tooth in there, and hopefully it will show up the properties of the granulation quite well. And also, I'm trying to get through this book. One of these years I will actually finish it. I'm also going to do some paintings, so stick around for those. I will do a painting from each of the sets of colours, so 3 of them in total. Exciting! Starting off with Galaxy Pink, which is a mixture of Manganese Violet PV16 and PBR33, that is Mahogany Brown. All of these colours can actually be made with 12 of Schmincke's existing paints, and so I'm just going to read out what ones these are. So Galaxy Brown is Cobalt Violet Hue and Mars Brown mixed together, which is an interesting combination. Going into Galaxy Blue, which is an absolutely beautiful colour. That is made up of PG50 Cobalt Turquoise and PB29, which is French Ultramarine. I'm also giving the names that Schmincke calls their paints, so if you already have them, you can mix these colours up yourself. Galaxy Violet, this is a really beautiful one as well, made up of Potter's Pink, PBR233, and French Ultramarine PB29. Galaxy Black, which is PBK11 or Mars Black, and more French Ultramarine, which seems to be the most common colour over all 3 sets. Going into the Glacier ones, we can see it again in Glacier Blue, which is the same mix as Galaxy Blue, but this time it has far more of that French Ultramarine and a lot less of the Cobalt Turquoise. Glacier Turquoise, again with that Cobalt Turquoise, and a little bit of Manganese Violet PV16. Glacier Green, this one I love. This is a mix of Potter's Pink and Cobalt Turquoise, and these two really split out and you can see the 2 individual colours. I love it a lot. Glacier Brown is PBR6 Mars Brown mixed with Cobalt Green Dark PG26. I don't really see the cobalt green in there, it's a very brown colour. Glacier Black is PBK11 Mars Black, also called Lunar Black in Daniel Smith's range, I think, and Cobalt Azure, which I think is also Cerulean Blue in some other brands. Onto the Deep Seas. Deep Sea Green, which looks far more blue than green, is a mix of PG18 Viridian and, once again, the French Ultramarine. Deep Sea Blue is 3 colours: Cobalt Turquoise, Manganese Violet, and French Ultramarine. Deep Sea Violet, another really lovely one, is French Ultramarine mixed in with Mahogany Brown. Interesting mixes again. Deep Sea Indigo, this one was a bit of a pain. It had split from the binder and it's got Cobalt Violet Hue and Viridian, which I guess don't mix as happily as some of the other pigments do. And Deep Sea Black is Mars Black, Cobalt Blue Deep, and Cobalt Azure. Here they all are together as a trio. They're all a little bit similar to each other, but they're different at the same time, and I think they're really beautiful. Those two, the pink and the blue together, are lovely, but this Galaxy Violet's really lovely. The Glacier Green, I think, has got to be one of my favourites, and the Deep Sea Violet. These two in particular, you can see the division between the 2 pigments. So in this one, it's got a brown reddish colour, and it also has a green turquoise colour. So that one is really, really pretty. And you can also see it in this one, that the blue and the brown have also split quite a bit. And that's the nature of them. That's why people like granulation colours, because they do create these incredibly beautiful patterns in the paper. And also the Glacier Brown, you can see, has got quite a bit of green coming through at the bottom there. So they're all lovely. I'm not too sure about the indigo. I will want to paint with that a bit more. I really love the Galaxy Black. The brown is maybe the least granulating looking. There they all are. So, I mean, really, you could just pick 1 or 2 of them, but I just thought, since they came in beautiful wooden boxes, I may as well get the whole set, and I'm going to do some paintings with them. I'm going to try and do a galaxy with these, a glacier with these, and a deep sea painting with them, just for a bit of a laugh, and we'll see what I can come up with just the 5 colours in each set. The paints in here, in the meantime, will dry. So what I've actually done is got my Sharpie and written just the names on them so that I remind myself what they are when I come back to these in a few days. And I will just use some alcohol when I want to clean this palette up eventually. Painting number 1 is Galaxy, and I thought I'd do something a little bit more interesting than just a plain old galaxy, so I've done a spaceship abducting some human beings, and then I painted the galaxy around it. So the ground, because I didn't have a green, I painted it brown, so we can just imagine it's kind of more of a desert landscape, which usually seems to be where people get abducted from anyway. So I really only used the galaxy brown on the ground, and then I used the lovely galaxy pink to start off in the centre, combined with the galaxy blue because I just thought that those two colours worked really well together. I will add more layers, and I also found that these paints lift really easily because granulating ones usually do, and so I made a beam of light emanating from the spaceship and tractor beaming the people up into it. Can you see there is a line forming around the edge of the paper and also right up through the middle of it? I don't know what is going on with the sketchbook, but it's like the paper is deteriorating really quickly. I don't know if the sizings just absolutely had it, but yeah, it was a bit of a disaster, but I kept going because I was halfway through this painting and I really didn't want to start again, and I also think that I need to finish this sketchbook as soon as possible, so I'm adding the black around the edges of it. The black wasn't so dark, and I found that actually all of the colours are not super tinting, and so I did have to go over this painting in quite a few layers just to get some more depth of colour and value into it. I do love that galaxy blue though. It is probably the brightest of all of them. The violet's really pretty as well, and I think the combination between the 4 of them, not so much the brown, but the other 4, is really fantastic, and I do like these a lot. You could just see how much granulation is going on, and I was splashing paint everywhere, and you couldn't really see the beam of light very well, so I did go over that a few more times. And here I am going in with the spaceship itself, and so I just had to fiddle with all of the details to get it done, and I had to make sure the background was really dry before I did the top layer here. On to the second painting, Glacier. I found a pretty cool photo of the Franz Josef Glacier in New Zealand. At least I'm pretty sure it's the Franz Josef and not the nearby Fox Glacier, but we'll just have to take my word for that it's the Franz Josef. So I'm going in with the Glacier Turquoise, such a beautiful colour, and it was perfect for the glacier itself. It was exactly the right colour. I also tried to add in a bit of the Glacier Blue, but it was a bit too ultramarine, so I ended up using that a bit later on some of the rocks to give it more of an interesting colour. And I went in with the background rocks in the Glacier Green, which was a lot more muted and cloudy sky, which you usually get up in the Alps anyway. Can you see it's doing it again on the top, that line, once it reaches the edge of the paper? I probably should have taped these, then I wouldn't have had that problem, but I just like to paint the edges of the sketchbook. I mean, I've done it for all the other pages, so I'm not going to change that now. I went in with a lot of the browns and the blacks for the rocks, and you can see I added in some of that really vibrant glacier blue just to get a bit of interest. I found that the glacier blue and the glacier brown mix so well to make a neutral grey. Those two are fantastic together, and then I was using the black to make it a bit darker. But as you can see, once again, not very dark in the tinting strength. It's just the nature of the pigments. Granulating ones do tend to be a lot lighter than some of the more staining pigments you can get out there that don't granulate as much. So this whole palette was a lot more muted than the Galaxy one, which had that really bright blue and the pink. This side, actually, I was dying to have a green because it's supposed to be a really dark green cliff, and I imagine that the forest set, which I don't have yet, would have some really great greens, so I just used what colours I had and made up the colours for this side of the picture. More of the blues and the blacks. It actually worked out quite well in the end. It kind of matches the other side, so I'm not too worried about it, and it's just meant to be a bit of a sketch, nothing too serious. And finally, we have Deep Sea. I basically typed in the words Deep Sea into Pixabay, and this really cool statue of Poseidon came up. I think it's a statue inside an aquarium, but it was very cool, and so I thought that's what I was going to do for this one. I used a lot of the deep sea green, blue, and violet for the ocean behind him, and I tried to add some of the deep sea indigo in, but it just wasn't working very well. It's not a very dark colour, and I wasn't too happy with it. All of the other colours are fantastic, but that indigo is just a bit of a pain, and it did not want to re-wet, because by this time my paints had dried into the palette, and I think it's the viridian inside the indigo that is just making it very, very difficult to re-wet it. I don't think I really used the deep sea black very much in this. It just didn't really need it, and so I decided rather than forcing it, I would just use the colours that I wanted to use. Predominantly the deep sea green and the violet together. Those two were fabulous, and I really loved this colour combination. So gorgeous. So I went over Poseidon's body mainly with the deep sea green to begin with, and I used the violet a bit later for some of the shadows and just to add a bit more interest into it because it was a bit flat with just the one colour. I was really trying to get some of the musculature in Poseidon, and also I didn't want to make his face too detailed, so I hinted at the eyes rather than painting them in, because sometimes the eyes just don't look quite right, and I didn't want to make a mess of the painting. Oh yes, and he's got a very muscular body because he is, after all, the god of the sea. Alright, so that's me done. Look at this lovely messy palette. Paint everywhere and they've all split, and yeah, it's quite interesting. So, I had a lot of fun with these. They were pretty challenging though, and I don't think I would recommend these for beginners, but if you've got lots of paints and you want to try something that's very granulating and different, I think these ones are pretty fantastic. So let's just take a look at the 3 paintings I ended up doing. Here is Galaxy. Actually turned out better than I thought it was going to. That paper has absolutely had it in this sketchbook, and I am trying to get through it as quickly as I can just so I can be finished with it. But putting the white dots over the top, it kind of looks like it's a deliberate pattern in there now. And yeah, it came out okay, so I'm quite pleased with that. It was a bit more interesting than just doing, you know, a plain old galaxy. And then over the page, we've got the Friends Juice of Glacier with the Glacier paints. Yeah, it turned out okay. I really enjoyed using this dagger brush. It is fun to make those rougher effects, and I did try to leave some of the white of the paper in to get a bit of highlight. I really wish I had a green for this because this side of the photograph is a dark green. I think the forest set would probably be quite useful for that, but I haven't got those yet. So I just made do with the colours that were in the set. And the last painting is this one with the undersea. Now I could have gone darker with it, but I just decided that I liked Poseidon as he is, and I just did not want to mess with him too much. I didn't want to lose the facial features or make them too overly complicated. I just want him to be mythical and coming out of the ocean. Not sure if I like these things, but it just felt like it needed something. So the purple in this is fantastic. I really love the deep sea violet. It's probably one of my favourite colours. The deep sea violet and the deep sea green go together so beautifully. Such a lovely combination. So thank you all very much for watching my video today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I just want to thank you all again so much for getting me to 1,000 subscribers. I could not have done it without you, and I am so excited to see where this channel goes in the future. So I hope you stick around and follow me along on my journey. And I will see you all again in my next video. I hope you're all staying safe and well out there. I will swatch you later. Bye!